Happy Thursday night, Grateful Gang. It's Lauren here, the Gratitude Addict. Welcome to Gratefully Living the Chronic Life. I come to you every Thursday at this time to bring you expert guests each week and focus on topics. It looks like I'm having trouble streaming to a couple. Oh, nope, there's one. Okay. Well, a couple places are having trouble streaming, but not in the group. It's really strange. I wonder if I can connect it. How do I do that? All right. Well, it's my personal page and my Facebook public. But hopefully in one of the many places you're able to view us. I'm not sure why that happened. Anyway, thank you for being here. Each week I come to you at this time and bring an expert guest, usually each week, who have a topic, a book, a product, or beautiful wisdom to offer us that help us to live these very difficult lives with gratitude, grace, and intention. And tonight I have an amazing guest who I booked months ago. I'm so excited to have I.J. McIntyre here with us. She's the author of this beautiful book called The Grateful Way. Feel Free from Regret in 3 Small Steps. And we are going to talk about the interplay between gratitude and regret. And regret is one of those, topics that I think many of us can relate to. I would find it hard to believe that anybody doesn't live with some kind of a regret. So it's going to be a very powerful hour. IJ is fantastic. So before I get to her, I just want to thank, first of all, Dr. Carrie Howells, who was here with us last week. Last week, it was gratitude and resentment. This week is gratitude and regret. So in some ways they're similar. So I didn't even plan it that way, that these were happening back to back. But anyway, thank you, Carrie, for being here all the way from Australia. I appreciate it. If you are watching I have a group on Facebook, which many of you are most likely watching from. It is called Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain. You do not need to live with physical pain to be a member of the group. And our group, we have 8,500 members, and our focus and mission and movement really is to try to live lives of joy and purpose despite our struggles. And I use pain kind of in air quotes because I believe we all live with some kind of pain, whether it's emotional, physical, spiritual, financial. The way pain affects us, in my opinion, is all the same. So I welcome you to join our community, Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain. We would love to have you. If you are watching from in the group, make sure you are signed in. We're giving away a couple copies of IJ's book tonight, and I don't want you to miss out. But if you're watching from in the group, you need to grant StreamYard permission to use your name and photo. This is only if you're watching from in the group. If you're elsewhere, it's not an issue, but it's for privacy issues because we are a private group. So click on StreamYard.com/Facebook. You just have to click that blue button that says, let StreamYard see your Facebook Live comments, and you'll be good to go. I know when you comment, it looks on your end like it's fine, but on my end, all I see is Facebook user, which is unfortunate. And so we want everybody to win prizes. So please do that if you're watching from in the group or watch from somewhere else, although not one of those 2 places that's unfortunately not broadcasting now. You can go to my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Gratitude Addict, and that looks like it's working just fine, as well as my LinkedIn. Okay, let me get to IJ. Oh, and next week I have another gratitude guest. Chris Shembra is going to be on with us. He is an author. He's the gratitude writer for Rolling Stone magazine, believe it or not. And he has a brand new book coming out called Gratitude Through Hard Times, The Art and Science of Positive Change. So that will be same time next week. Chris will be with us. And without further ado, let me bring on IJ. Hi there, IJ. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Lauren. Delighted, absolutely, to be here. If I should have brought bells.
That would have been a good idea. So IJ is short for Ida Jean, as you have so eloquently put there. IJ is a little bit easier. Excuse me, I keep finding myself mixing it up because I had AJ Jacobs on the show a couple months ago. I don't know if people do that, but so he's a gratitude author too, and TED Talk speaker like you're a TED speaker as well. And so I'm finding that I'm interchanging the names IJ and AJ a little bit. So if I call you AJ, I love AJ. So certainly.
Absolutely no problem. I've always said you can call me anything, AJ, TJ, NJ, anything except OJ, and we're good.
I love that. Yeah, we don't want to be called OJ. Excuse me. If it is your first time watching, we're an interactive broadcast. I should have mentioned that. And we love, love, love for people to comment in, like this comment here. Thank you. Love my t-shirt. Default setting gratitude. I haven't wore this one in a while. So yes, please feel free to add in your questions and comments for IJ, and I try to get as many of them on the screen as possible because we really like to have an interactive kind of town hall feel. So hello from Jill Cook. Hello, Jill Cook. So see that Facebook user part, that's even though we know it's Jill Cook, that's the part that unfortunately it's out of my control. It's just Facebook. But anyway, IJ, you and I met through LinkedIn a couple months ago, and I think you watched maybe one of my episodes, and then I knew about you because I knew about your book, and your TEDx talk had just been released. So of course I joke with everybody that I stalked my guests. I stalked you immediately, and we spoke, and I couldn't wait to get you on the show to talk about your TEDx talk and this beautiful book, The Grateful Way, which I think is really a love letter to your mother. Would you say that's
absolutely? I would say that too, and yet it's more.
Oh, yes.
So it is a memoir of a remarkable woman, happened to be my mom. For the longest time, I knew that she was this force of nature when it came to positive thinking, no matter what, because she faced a lot of adversity over her life, and also did an amazing job of embracing adventure, even though she was like born in the 20s and sort of before you might have imagined her generation would be like. And it finally came to me that it was because at the very base of her being, she was grateful no matter what. And so to extract those stories from her experiences, to extrapolate them to my own, because I learned by osmosis, really. And then when I put my finger on that, the core, the how she did it and how it has helped me was all about experiencing and expressing gratitude, then away we went in terms of a little sweet book, short invitation to people to contemplate and commit from their own perspectives as well.
That's a great way to describe it. It's it is it's a beautiful book that you can read multiple times because you're going to want to, because these stories are so endearing. And we'll get more into why your mom was so remarkable and obviously raised a remarkable daughter. But we're giving away a few free copies tonight, so if you would like to win a copy, make sure you're signed in. If you're watching from AOG, all you need to do is somewhere in the comments tonight write #gratitude, and you'll be automatically drawn in. I don't know why those two places are not hooking up. I don't know if there's a simple fix for me. Oh, it says I can remove the destination and re-add it. Excuse me. I don't want to take up any time from you, but I want to make sure that
that there isn't a technical difficulty. Yeah, and I'm all for that. Yes,
I can easily re-add it. It's my public Facebook page where it says it's not broadcasting to. All right, let me see if I can do this and add it. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Aw.
Dude, that's too bad. Let me try one more time. Oh, wait. Oh, I think we have success. We do. And that was
Yay!
through my personal page. That's really strange.
There was something quirky going on when I clicked on the link last night.
Oh, yeah, you were saying that. Yeah.
But technology, love it when it works.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're good on all of them. Good. So I would hate to have somebody not be able to hear your amazing message. So first, tell us a little bit about your background before we get into your book, your TED, and your work with gratitude and regret.
Thanks, Lauren. I am a Canadian, true blue, true North Canadian, born and raised in the prairies, the province of Saskatchewan. So I will always be from Saskatchewan. However, I live on the West Coast, Victoria, beautiful British Columbia, Vancouver Island, practically as west as you can get on our continent that we share in North America. I have a couple of university degrees in arts and law, and interestingly enough, am a completely recovered lawyer.
I was going to say you did
haven't practiced since 1987, so I'm a woman with a law degree. I'm not anything more than that. And I have, along the way, when I left the law behind, and that's one of the stories in the book, I started to facilitate workshops, which is what I should have gotten into right from the get-go had I only known about that growing up in small town Saskatchewan. But I didn't. So when I was given the opportunity to learn about staff and organization development and the opportunity to have process and or skill building that allowed people to learn and develop and make their lives or their workplaces better, I was all in. And so then my last iteration was from a life planning perspective to help boomers get ready to retire. And I took my own advice. So this gratitude journey, the Grateful Way, the book in 2020, the TEDx talk in 2021, 2022, having the opportunity to really connect with global gratitude experts and specialists and people like you and your community, and all of that is my own retirement, my way legacy project.
I like how you say that, retirement, my way legacy project. I love that.
Thank you.
I posted, actually, I put the graphic up. There's a wonderful book, not to get, your book. I want to talk more about your book, but there's a wonderful book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying.
Yes.
By Bronnie Ware.
Yes.
And so I post this graphic every couple months or so in the group because it really is to me like a real capsule of what. So she was I believe she was an end of life nurse, right? And so she interviewed hundreds, at least maybe thousands of her end of life patients. What were your regrets, that you didn't do in life? I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends, and I wish that I had let myself be happier. So, getting it right from the mouths of people who are at end of life, like you were just saying, it really, for me, it reinforces to me about living life the best that I can with what I'm working with at the moment. And I know you talk a lot about acceptance in your book too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And what a wonderful share. That is one of my guiding pieces of research in terms of what we really need to pay attention to. What we take for granted till it's too late,
Right.
and what we look back longingly and wonder what if we have those regrets. That I don't invite through the book or my TEDx to suggest that you won't have regrets. 90% of us, according to the research out of Concordia University in Montreal, in addition to research like Bronnie Ware's, it's impossible to live without regrets.
Of course, right.
What my invitation is, and my juxtaposition of the other research, is that we can address our feelings of regret if we tap into the power of gratitude. It helps us deal with, it helps us heal, and it can help us feel free as possible. In my mom's case, at the end of her life, her 89 years on this planet.
This is her mom, by the way.
When she was 85, in a calendar, and the deal there is that she had absolutely, there were regrets, things that happened, things that she controlled, things she didn't control, that if she could have changed, absolutely, but we can't. We cannot change the past.
And I think we get caught up in that a lot. We get so caught up in regret that it, in my eyes anyway, it paralyzes us from moving forward, because it's one of those things that we can't control. And we can have those, for me at least, I've definitely got regrets, and I've shared it very openly about, my story and my hot mess story from 9 years ago. But it was also a jumping off point in order to use that and know I don't want to go back there, and how I can live each day better and with what I've got to work with. Right. So, and what, I can't change my situation, but I can change my reaction to it. And you talk about that a lot in the book.
That's for sure. The one thing we can do is decide, will we learn from what's happened, what we did or didn't do, and make a better choice, do something positive, tiny little bit of positive that will help us and or help other people. And it is exactly that choice that allows us to move forward. To my mom, it gave her strength. When my dad was dying with cancer, we're all home for our last Christmas together on the farm. We woke up Christmas morning and our house was on fire. And in the middle of it, you bet your boots, she was not thankful or grateful or appreciated that in any way, shape, or form. Quite the contrary. However, later, when the square dance friends of my parents banded together and had a benefit dance in the coldest, darkest January Saskatchewan night, and came from all over to support the family, the real gift in that was that the friends got a chance to say goodbye to my dad before they came back a couple of months later for his funeral.
Right. And you so eloquently talk about this in the Grateful Way. And your mom's been through a lot, as have you, because you're the youngest daughter, and beautiful family that you had. But I call it a love letter, because the way you write about your mom, you just marvel at her, and it's almost like you had like a light bulb moment, like, oh, this is why she is the way she is. This is how she's able to get through all of that. the fire, the death. I know there's other things we can talk about as well, and then, she just would feel those feels, and then she'd pick up, dust herself off, and she sure did go, and lived a fantastic, very full life, right?
Yes. And I think that was in its own way, a gift, because I was only 9 when my dad died, and I was 10 years younger than my youngest brother. So he finished grade 11 and grade 12 and went off to join my other siblings who were already making their way in the world. And my mom and I had 8 years from the time I was 9 till the time I was 17 and went off to university, that just the two of us were together. Now, I had my teenager moments, and we had our mother-daughter issues and all of that. But really, when you think about it, it created this incredible opportunity for us to have a completely unique bond. And in fact, writing the book for my oldest brother and my sister, especially because they were long gone, they hadn't appreciated or understood because they weren't there. So they didn't really understand the experience that I had with our mom.
Right.
We all had the same mom, but we were all in different time zones and experiences.
Yeah.
So
I want to get to some comments, but I want to put a comment out there to the audience. What regrets do you have in life? And you can even add in, how do they have power over you, and if so, how so? I mean, I guess that first question isn't even really a question. Of course you have regrets. The question should really be, what regrets do you have in life which you're having a tough time getting through? So let's see who's here. We've got a lot of people entering to win the book. All you need to do, gang, is write, like Mary Bendewald here, #gratitude. And we've got a couple books that IJ has been so generous to donate. So let's see. We've got Linda Edwards is here. Hi, Linda. Jennifer McGregor's here. Hello. Sorry for those tech issues, gang, but I'm glad you're all here. Yes, Heidi, we see your name. Looking forward to tonight, says Mary. Glad you're here, Mary. What else we got? Oh, we got Jennifer. I've been hooking you up with a lot of Canadian people lately, Jen. Who else was from Canada just like 2 weeks ago? I feel like we've had many lately. It was Carrie. Who was before Carrie? Oh, it was Lorraine
I know.
Carson.
Lorraine from Banff. Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
And of course, you've had Steve Foran from Halifax.
Yep. Yep.
All people in our Canadian network as well.
For sure. Make sure you guys spell gratitude correctly. I see somebody spelled it incorrectly. It won't pick it up if it's spelled incorrectly. So just double check your spelling. That's so touching and beautiful. Ida Jean has me pining for Canada, A. Was that good, A? Hi, Anne. Thank you for being here. Oh, Tracy, my BFF. I just visited her this weekend. We're BFFs from high school. And I finished my book. Well, sort of finished my book on Friday. But actually, I submitted it today. So now it's really done. Yay. Hi, Bergies. Thank you for watching. I told IJ prior to the episode that I submitted my book, hit the road to go visit my friend Tracy in Connecticut. Thought it was all done. Heard from my editor today. Oops, I forgot the entire month of August. But it's all taken care of now.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
Thanks for being here, Bergies. I love you and miss you. Mary, not getting my dad admitted to the hospital the night before he took his life. And my last words to him. Sorry, Mary. Yeah, she shared that with me recently, and it's it's tough. So no, I don't want to skip right to the ending, but let's do that. How can we use gratitude to help us deal with regret?
In the book, it certainly is there. but in my TEDx talk, it's even more prominent. And the story I share on the TEDx stage is one from living, working, being a busy career person, married woman, friends, whirling around in Calgary, Alberta in my 40s. I pick up a freebie magazine. I open the one, and here's a girlfriend from my childhood, from my teenage years, who I haven't seen since then. She's now become the anchor of a local television station. I think this is amazing. Look at her. How wonderful. I rip out the page, I put it on my desk, and away I go back to whirling around, doing the things. Don't get around to phoning.
Because that's what we do. Life's busy. You had every intention of doing it, but things happen, right?
Absolutely. And a couple other prompts allow me to, again, actually try to do better and make time. But I take for granted that there's all the time in the world,
Right.
that there will be a tomorrow. The third time I saw her name and her picture in the newspaper was her obituary, because she had been diagnosed and had passed away from cancer. And I could not believe it. And it took me a very long time to forgive myself for not just taking the time to figure out how to get a hold of her, to pick up the phone, to phone the TV station and say, let me get a hold of this. And she wasn't my best friend, but it just was a wake-up call to me to say, people in our lives who we appreciate, who we care about, who we could just take a minute to reach out to, how important that is. And so I went looking, especially when I was writing the book, because that was when the story came back to me, my experience came back to me, because I spent several months having trouble sleeping until sort of life took over again. But those
because of this,
because of not making that phone call.
Okay.
And those woulda, coulda, shouldas were haunting me. But again, got shelved. But when I started to write the book, I remembered. And so I went looking for a solution, because I knew that if I couldn't handle this, how could I be inviting others to think about, find ways to deal and heal and feel regret-free. So there was research that I found out of Kent State, a study that suggested that students who wrote one gratitude letter for 3 weeks in a row were significantly healthier, significantly happier, less depressed,
sleep better.
Yeah. They just, like, the benefits were there. It's almost unbelievable sometimes, but the research bears it out.
And you have 2 pages in the back of the book with a lot of references to this research. And
exactly, the studies that just allow us to, like, not only hear about it, but believe, because it's backed by science.
Right.
And so I thought, what could happen if I sat down and wrote a gratitude letter? And of course, I couldn't send it to my friend anymore because she had passed away, but I still wrote the letter to her. And I told her everything that I would have if I'd just picked up the phone. Mm-hmm. And that was cathartic in itself.
I'm sure.
But the second letter I wrote was just to me.
I love that. I love that. And this, if you guys watched the TED Talk, I put it in the group and on my Gratitude Addict Facebook page. I think I put that one there today. I encourage you to watch her TEDx. It was from what, January? You just did.
It was in Vancouver in December, but TED takes its time
Right.
so it was released at the end of January.
Okay. So yes, I highly encourage you. She talks about exactly what she's talking about now. It's a very, very powerful TED, and I love that you wrote the letter to your friend. I also love, love, love that you wrote that letter to yourself.
Because we're the only ones on the face of the planet that really can forgive us. So we need to think about, and we can give that gift to ourselves.
Right.
And then my third letter, to carry on with what the study said, was all about preventing feeling future regrets. And I wrote my one and only niece, and I sent it to her in the mail, but I texted her and said, don't open it till we Zoom. And my only learning from that was I should have included a little package of Kleenex in the envelope, because for her and me, we're kind of, sentimental, and she was so touched. And I was so glad. I know she knows how special, but just making that little extra effort. If something happens to either of us, we know that we've got ahead in one part of our life.
For sure. And it is powerful. And, as gratitude letters are, and those studies say it there, it goes even a step further, saying if you can deliver them in any way in person or Zoom, which would, especially with COVID or whatever, it takes it even to that next level. So that is beautiful.
Yes. And that all came out of Martin Seligman. And I think he had a gratitude night with his university students in one of his classes. They all wrote a letter. Then they invited the recipient of the letter. They all came. They were in the same room. They each, paired off, read their letters out loud, and then gifted a copy of their letter to those individuals. And the research later backed it up again, that those individuals ended up feeling the power of the gratitude longer. It was a longer lasting, more uplifting impact. Other research, though, says back to, it's okay if you never send the letter.
Right.
You still get the benefits. But if you can still send the letter, or share the letter, then others get the benefit and maybe are inspired to do the same too.
And that kind of ties in with what I spoke with Dr. Carrie Howells about last week with resentments, and that, she recommends writing a letter, and some situations may not warrant a letter. You may, depending on what the situation is, forgiving ourselves is the biggest thing, and we often think that by forgiving somebody else, we're sort of letting them off the hook. But in reality, it's really just like drinking poison, expecting them to die, but it's really us that's hurting, right? So not sending that letter, you do reap those benefits. And maybe there's things that you don't feel comfortable saying when it comes to when it comes to resentment, but with regret, there may be situations like that as well, or like with your friend, she's passed. So but you got to experience that. And so how did you feel after you wrote those, you did with your niece and yourself, and then to your deceased friend?
I honestly, it was like a weight was lifted. Those woulda, coulda, shouldas for that, particular instance with my friend, absolutely, it did help me deal with it. It did help me heal. And I am far better. I'm not perfect, but I'm far better at the moment I think about someone, picking up the phone, sending a text, sending an email, doing something that makes them know, because it's okay that I'm thinking about them, but until I've learned how to have telepathy, they don't know.
Right.
And so it's that action past the good intentions that is the secret to serenity, to reaping the full benefits.
So you have, oh, I meant to show this at the beginning of the episode. This is in the front of your book. It's your mom, which is in the front of your book, in loving memory of the most remarkable woman I have ever known, my mom, Bernice Thomas Hannison Neal, in celebration of how she lived her life as the epitome of the power of gratitude. But there was something else. So you have 3 small steps to gratitude, and I actually made a little graphic. I didn't realize you had one on your site, otherwise I would have stole it. And you call it your T.H.X approach, right?
I do. And it's interesting because I wrote that for the book. And T.H.X, if you just take the 3 letters and put them together, it's a short abbreviation for thanks, which was the whole idea of an acronym.
My mind. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, to make it easy to remember, and to just prompt us to take that time. And back to my mom, she didn't practice gratitude, so that was not in her lexicon. She was not of that generation. She didn't journal. She didn't, think before she got up in the morning what 3 things she was grateful for, or think of or write them down before she went to bed at night, or those kinds of that. Just, it was in her nature, and it was the way she lived, which is interesting because just lately, more of the terminology around gratitude and being reactionary as opposed to gratefulness and living gratefully is more proactive, and which is really what the Grateful Way is all about. But taking that time whenever it feels right for you, because it's not one size fits all,
Right.
but doing it in a way that's meaningful, and then highlighting the positive, and especially taking the time when we're in the depths, the darkest moments, or transitioning from those darkest moments, to find some little nugget, some little silver glint of silver lining that we can grab onto and hang onto and get some strength and courage. And that's all for us. The express part of gratitude just amps it up to the next level, because it gives the gift that really does keep on giving. It gives back to us, it gives to others, and it again builds our strength, builds our positive resources.
Contagious. It snowballs. It's contagious.
Yes.
It's I call, I'm the gratitude addict, but it really is addicting once you get that taste of it. And no, you had said it. I forget if you just said it now, if it's in your book. You definitely said it in the book, but it's not the be all end all. It's not a cure all for things, but it really does build resilience and help to deal with life's difficulties in a much easier, swifter way when you have that practice going. And when, you can't just expect to say, I'm grateful for, my dog one day and say, oh, it's not working, I'm going to give up. It really requires some intentional practice, but it really does help. And so THX, I can't believe that's thanks. Leave it to me. THX, take time to highlight the positive and express gratitude. I love it.
Well, thank you. And it's interesting because when I went to start preparing for my TEDx talk, that's when I spent time watching TEDx talks about gratitude. For some reason, wasn't on my radar. I didn't spend time. I didn't go looking when I was writing the book. So I'm busy doing the, as I say, the prep for the TEDx. And Brother David Steindl Rast, his stop, look, and go is so much the same, because taking the time to stop, then looking around and for me to highlight the positive, notice it, find it, and grab onto it. And then his go is all about expressing the gratitude. And after I was, oh my goodness, when I saw that, because I came at it and arrived at it from a completely different angle, but it dovetails so beautifully with his teachings and all that, the meaningful spiritual approach and the depth of his teachings.
For sure. And I love, you map it out in those 3 simple, and put it up there again. It's very 3 simple. Take time to highlight the positive and express gratitude. THS, thanks. We can remember that for sure. Let's get to some comments here. Does sharing regrets with others help diminish them?
Well, it can, but it also depends. It's one of those situations where, back to whether or not you would send the letter, or back to whether or not you would share that regret, in my opinion, is based in what the value of that, what would the outcome be, and would it be good for you, but would it also be good for the recipient?
Mm-hmm.
If it would, then absolutely. But there are times when it is something that you just need to get off your chest, out of your head, so that you can let go. So if sharing them with others helps you let go, I believe, absolutely. And a lot of the research, I believe, would support that as well.
I think so too. I know when we share things, it does take away their power. And I can't speak for you, Jen. I speak for myself, and my regrets and how I was, prior to 9 years ago, with my alcoholism and the drunk driving and all of that. Of course, I regret that. And there's not a day in my life I won't ever, don't regret that. There's nothing fun or funny or good in that. But I was able to take that and share about it with other people, and use it as a lesson for myself, and how I know I don't want to be any longer, and why I work so hard. And it's really kind of the basis for my gratitude. But that's my specific condition. I think everybody's different, but I think you're right, IJ. I think when people share things, it does take away their power. It's a great question. And she says the TED Talk is excellent. I agree.
Thank you. And back to those letters, sometimes just writing what we're angry about, what we regret, what we're upset about, what's bothering us, and then ripping it up, or putting it in the fire, or somehow ceremoniously
let it go.
Putting an end to it helps us let go.
Right.
Yeah.
We are the only ones who can forgive ourselves. Very, very true. There was a quote of yours that I another quote I made into a graphic that I thought was beautiful from the book. Living gratefully can soften regret. I will send you this because I just thought it turned out beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
That's from here in The Grateful Way. Living gratefully can soften regret. I love that. It's so beautiful and true. So let's talk a little bit about your mom. I see we've only got 10 minutes left. And of course, we haven't even gotten to, let's talk about, so we know you had, fire and you lost your poor dad. And then your mom bounced back. She married again and she took up painting at an, older age. Talk to us a little bit about some of the things she did.
Absolutely. So she did. She, by the time I was 17, she'd found a new companion. My stepdad, his wife had passed away from cancer. He was same kind of personality as my dad.
Oh, yeah.
My dad would always have been the love of my mom's life. There's no doubt about that. But her second life with a second marriage was absolutely delightful for both of them, because my mom was a young woman when my dad passed away. My dad was 55. My mom was in her 40s. And the deal there was life felt like it ended, but in due course, she gave herself permission, and Dad would have wanted that, to carry on. Again, she knew she had to carry on to look after me because there's a 9-year-old kid. But, beyond that, she was able to have a full and wonderful second marriage and life, in terms of they honeymooned in Arizona, which is a very popular destination from the Canadian prairies to go to Arizona for the winter. And they met people there as a couple, because in a small town, my parents were square dancers and farmers, and my step parents' family were I'm going to call them the townies, and he had a retail store and they played bridge, and, both families curled, and, there was, there was a they little bit.
Okay.
And I think my parents' friends and my step parents' friends, they missed the spouse that was no longer part of the group.
Of course, yeah.
So when my parents went to Arizona on their honeymoon, they met a whole new set of friends as a couple. No one there had ever known them in their past lives, if you will. And so it opened a whole new set of friends and relationships. And not only that, I mean, the Arizona weather in comparison to the Saskatchewan winters, I mean, it was just a beautiful segue for them to then carry on.
Like a fresh start.
Absolutely. And my mom's Arizona friends were the ones who encouraged her. She admired, so many of them were painting, and they finally said, well, come with us, take some lessons. And she was in her 60s, and she at first was like all of us. Oh, what if I'm not very good at it? And all those kinds of things. And it's like, but bottom line, so you got, if you try, and if you don't like it, or you're not very good at it, or what, try something else. But so she did, and voila, unlocked.
Turns out she was good.
Tremendous talent and pleasure. She just loved painting. And so painting in oils.
And you've got some pictures in the book, which is lovely
landscapes and florals, and in fact, I just posted on Facebook a week ago for Mother's Day, because I used to go home to my hometown for the Mother's Day weekend art show. And it just, I was a very proud daughter, and again inspired that in her 60s, which I'm now in my 60s, but at the time, even generationally, the senior citizens and, oh yeah, you're just going to retire and be on the porch in a rocking chair.
Right.
No. and nor do any of us need to, because we do. There are so many different opportunities.
There are. I have a week devoted in my book, the 52-week intention journal, that I call Bloom Where You Are Planted.
Mm-hmm.
And, I told myself the narrative for a long time too. Like I haven't really found what's my thing. And, I'm too old to start something new. And I've come to realize that no, I'm not actually. And I'm hungry to learn all sorts of new things. And now based on what my physical abilities or, things I can no longer do and things I can do, I can tweak that and learn new things that I never expected in a million years I would ever take up. But we have to have an open mind and an open heart to be able to do that things. And look at the joy that your mom received from painting.
Oh
It's
my.
wonderful.
Yes. And again, just a lesson in there that we really are never too old. She was in her 80s when she was posing in the calendar for the
Yeah, so
calendar.
tell us about the calendar. I want to hear that.
And by that time, and in fact, the special gift that I was given at the end of my mom's life, her last 8 years, she moved to Calgary, where we were living, to be in a retirement residence. She was ready. My stepdad had passed away, and she was ready to be closer to my oldest brother and myself. And it was just so fabulous because she volunteered to deliver the activities newsletter every week. And so she knew right away what was going on. Then she was like number one signing up for anything she wanted to. And yet there would be things that I would see in the calendar, and I would say to him, "Hey mom, did you go do blah, blah, blah?" And she said, "No, that was for the old people." And I'm okay.
Oh,
and of course, because for her definition of old was less mobile. She was still mobile. She had a speech impairment from her stroke that barely slowed her down. And or the others that were ill and or not able to participate in some of the activities that, as I say, she would say to me, no. And so, and until her 89th year, when she did succumb to some illnesses herself, she signed up to volunteer to be in the calendar when they were inspired by the movie The Calendar Girls, and they raised money for charity. And also, the retirement residents got all this press, seniors take it all off for charity. And and in fact, by the time she was in the convertible, which is my husband's 1964 Galaxy 500 convertible, and in the calendar, she's with 3 of her friends. But for the cover of the book,
you airbrushed out the friends.
Yeah, well, and the deal there was that she at Wild Horses could not have stopped her from being the one as soon as she knew it was going to be our car that was in that month of the calendar. And you gotta love that, because again, it's an inspiration to us to just get out there and say yes and try things and do what we can, knowing that there are limits, absolutely, that physically or other challenges that will sometimes slow us down or get in the way. But if we can find a workaround or find that by doing that one thing, it actually energizes us and returns to us, then again, it feeds our soul, it nourishes our bodies, our brains, all of
That's a
that.
good way to describe it, the energizing, because once you get that little taste of it, you're right. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, if I can do this, then maybe I can do, this. And there were a couple quotes that I didn't get a chance to make a graphic for, but this one is from the book. When it's our final farewell, if we have lived gratefully, we will feel free from regret. It's a beautiful quote. And it's probably safe to say that your mom, probably felt she lived a pretty full life because she really went for it. Would you say that she would say
Oh, absolutely. And what she experienced and felt, and what I've tried to capture in that quote and in the book and in the TEDx is my hope, my wish, my desire in this My Retirement My Way legacy project is that anyone and everyone who wants to can tap into the power of living gratefully to allow for and to build that sense of self that we've done what we can, and to relax and release and end our time on the face of the earth with grace and serenity.
because we don't know how much time we have, and we don't know how much time our loved ones have. So this, again, the book is called The Grateful Way, Feel Free from Regret in 3 Small Steps. It is a beautiful, beautiful book. We're going to be giving away some signed copies in just a minute, but thank you. I keep putting her website up there. She's got a gorgeous website. You can sign up. She's got all sorts of tools and resources on there, some cute videos, and you can find out more about her. Sign up for her newsletter. It's thegratefulway.ca, which is how Canadians do it. And one more quote before, let's see, this one. When faced with an unexpected challenge, believing in a positive purpose helps us handle it. I thought that was pretty appropriate for many of the people who watched this broadcast, living with chronic pain and illness or whatever pain you are dealing with. So who's ready to give away a couple books? Let's get our little handy dandy giveaway tool here. And thank you, IJ, for being so willing to. Oh no, what happened here? Oh no, something happened. It didn't record anything. Oh my. Okay. Well, I'm going to, once the episode is over, unfortunately, for some reason, the giveaway tool didn't record any of the gratitudes. I wonder if it had something to do with me having to reboot. But what I will do is, when the episode is over, I will put anybody that put #gratitude in. I will do a random name thingy. I would do it now, but it would take too long. So sorry, gang. But so we'll get 2 people to win. Shoot, that's always a real fun thing to do it right on the air. But
Yes.
it's not a Lauren episode unless something happens like that. I like to keep it authentic.
Very real and very wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, IJ, for being here and for gifting us with the hour. It goes fast, doesn't it? It goes very fast. So again, read The Grateful Way. It's a beautiful book. You will just feel all warm and fuzzy and inspired, and maybe put a little bit of extra balance in your steps. You can pose for a calendar when you are 85 years old. And again, you can reach her at thegratefulway.ca. IJ McIntyre, thank you for being here and for being a guest. Honor your work, and I'm very humbled that you were here with us tonight.
Complete and sincerely genuine pleasure. Thank you, and looking forward to more connections soon and continue.
Yes, we've got something coming up in September. We're going to do something. I kind of hinted about it a couple of weeks ago. We're doing something for World Gratitude Day. We're doing something called the Women of Gratitude, and IJ has agreed to be a part of that as well. But more details coming soon. Thanks to those of you watching live and for contributing. You really make the episodes very, very special by doing so. And if you're watching the recording, thanks for being here. And I will see you all next week. Now, let's see if I can remember to do my closing because I forget every week. Okay, gang, I will see you next week with Chris Shembra. And peace and love. Get your gratitude on. Bye, gang.
Bye.